Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Koch Korner, which is part of the Farmer's Alley at Home series. The Koch Korner, the Koch Korner is an interview series where we hope to educate, entertain, inspire, enlighten you all at the same time. Tonight, my guests are two local luminaries in the Kalamazoo arts community, Mr. Sidney "The Rock" Ellis and Mr. Buddy Hanna. Buddy Hanna is a highly regarded poet who lives in Kalamazoo and is the retired host of Talk It Up Live, a social commentary radio program that aired on 1560 AM and 95.5 The Touch for 19 years in Kalamazoo. He has also written and self-published 6 books of poetry and has performed, directed, or written plays for the stage over the course of some 30 years or more. Buddy has worked as a director and actor with several local theaters, as well as performing with Washington Productions, which was created by Vaughn Washington Sr. and his wife Fran, and being one of the original members of the Black Arts and Cultural Center's Ali Players. Buddy also served as co-director, along with Sid Ellis, for the East Side Voices Oral History Project, which led to the publishing of the book East Side Voices. Among his many awards are the Black Arts and Cultural Center's Outstanding Volunteer Award and the Irving S. Gilmore Community Medal of Arts Award, just to name a few. Buddy attended Kalamazoo Valley Community College and Western Michigan University. He is married and has 2 children and 2 granddaughters, and he's here with us, and we're so proud and honored, Mr. Buddy Hanna. Hello, Buddy.
Hey, how you doing, Jeremy? Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
All right, it's wonderful to have you, and I really appreciate you being here. And we should probably bring out your friend, Sid "The Rock" Ellis, and I'm going to embarrass him by reading his bio right to his face. Sid "The Rock" Ellis is the executive director of the Douglas Community Association and formerly the executive director of the Black Arts and Cultural Center. He produced a Christian variety show, Try God's Love, on the Public Media Network for 8 years. Sid has performed for over 30 years in the Kalamazoo community and surrounding area with the following theaters: the Mad Hatters, Kalamazoo Civic Theater, All Ears Theater, the Black Arts and Cultural Center, and he played the role of Jim Bono in Fences at Farmer's Alley Theater opposite Vaughn Washington Sr. His most recent performance was in Gem of the Ocean, portraying Solly Two Kings with Western Michigan University Theater Department. He has been married to his beautiful wife, Renita, for 26 years, who has performed in local theater, and has 2 sons, Sidney II and Quincy, who also both perform in local theater. Please welcome Mr. Sid "The Rock" Ellis. How are you, Sid?
I'm awesome, Jeremy. It's good to be here with you and my friend Buddy Hanna. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for being here. It's our honor. So you two go way back, huh?
Yeah, we do. It's an interesting story. I was doing theater at the Civic Theater under the Civic Black Theater, and I had actually just started doing theater, and they needed an actor to portray Dr. Martin Luther King, and one of the other people there suggested me, and so they asked me to come and read, and I came to read, and there was Mr. Buddy Hanna. We had never met before. Wow. And we read together, and the rest is history.
And so, Buddy, you played, looks like you played Malcolm X?
I played Malcolm X, and you know, the strange thing about it is that I had seen Sid before in a couple of productions around town, so I knew who he was, and I knew the actor that he was, and really this was my first time getting on stage, and you know, I felt like, wow, I don't know if I should be here with this guy, you know, but when we began to read and interact with each other, he made me feel so comfortable, and the chemistry was just so good. All of that just went away, and we clicked, and over the course of years, we probably performed that play, The Meeting, 10, 15, 20 times. You know?
I love it.
Right. Yeah.
I love it. I was wondering if it was an instant friendship. You know, you guys just met, and you had to have this, you know, jump into this, you know, important play, tackling this important, you know, historical lesson. And so you hit it off right away, huh?
Right away.
Yeah, right away. Yeah. And been close friends ever since. It was as if we always knew each other.
Exactly. So
that's awesome. I love it. So tell us a little bit more. Obviously, the Black Arts and Cultural Center is an institution that connects the two of you. We also talked a little bit about Von Washington Sr. I know that he connects the two of you. And I'd love to hear more about the Douglas Community Association, Sid. But let's start with the Black Arts and Cultural Center. How has that been influential to both of you, and how did that bring you together?
I'll let you start, buddy.
Okay. Well, I got involved with the Black Arts and Culture Center, I think probably about a year after it was founded. I was fortunate enough to meet Gail Sidney, who was the executive director and one of the founding members, along with James Paramore, Lois Jackson, and Bertha McNeil. And I met Gail, and she began to tell me about some of the things they was doing, and long story short, she brought me into the fold, so to speak, and I became involved in over the course of some 30-something years. I've been involved, have always been involved with the Black Arts and Culture Center, and I can honestly say that I owe my career as an artist, actor, writer, playwright, whatever. I owe that to the Black Arts and Culture Center, because it basically was a place for us to go and associate with other artists. Because not only did I meet Sid there, I met James Paramore, Reginald Gammon, just tons of people. And it was a place to go and be around other artists, to practice your craft, but to also to grow as an artist, because you had the outlet there. And over the years, Sid and I have switched roles in the Black Arts and Culture Center. At one time, I was the director and he was my board chair. Then at one time, he was the director and I was his board chair. But we've always been connected to the Black Arts and Culture Center. And I'm happy to say that it's still there. And the young people that has taken over still is doing a tremendous job keeping the Black Arts and Culture Center a viable part of the community.
I love it.
Very much so.
I love it.
And I echo that and say that my introduction to the Black Arts and Cultural Center was the production, the meeting. So until someone asked me to come in and read for that particular part, I had not been in touch with the Black Arts and Cultural Center. So new to Kalamazoo, new to doing things in the community. But I would just echo what Buddy said. It was a place where you had the opportunity to grow as an artist, meet other artists, and really just collaborate on a variety of different things. And so you would meet people who you wouldn't normally meet on a regular basis if the Black Arts and Cultural Center was not in existence, especially during that time, because we had a location right on Burdick Street, and you could literally be walking down the street and you could hear music, you might hear people doing theater, you might hear people playing music, you might hear people storytelling of just a variety of different things because of the location and because it was an area downtown where people would walk through constantly. It would be an opportunity to just attract people to come into the building and see what was going on.
I love it. It spreads, love and art and culture, and it kind of seems like it permeated through the air, right? And just help people be attracted to that, which I am, and I hope more people are attracted to that too. That's excellent. So you were the executive director, right, of the BACC, Sid, and then what caused you to leave and go over to the Douglas Community Association, and can you tell us more about that?
Well, actually, before I came to the Douglas Community Association, I actually joined the YMCA as a fundraiser there. So I was there at the YMCA for 4 years. And so I really left the the Black Arts and Cultural Center just to broaden my horizon and do a more variety of different things. I've always been a community advocate, and the Black Arts and Cultural Center gave me an opportunity to really express myself culturally and to allow the other people to express themselves. I love it when people are doing what they want to do, whether it's performing or fine arts. And so the years and time that I had there was great, having a great time. But as Buddy can tell you, it came a time where we wanted young people to step forward more. So we had more young people join the board of directors, and it was an awesome time. And it was really a time to allow more young people to get on board and start doing the things they want to do. Because what happens in organizations like that, and organizations, and I'm not just talking about fine and performing arts, but what can happen in organizations is that you have an executive director and you have a board that is getting older, and the young people are not having an opportunity to express themselves. And so it was a time and opportunity for young people to step up and start expressing themselves more. And the young lady who replaced me did just that. Yolanda Lavender, she came in, she brought more younger people involved into the opportunity that they had at the Black Arts and Cultural Center. And so, like Buddy said, it's still thriving today.
I love it. Yes, and we love it as well, and we know a lot of the people at Face Off Theater Company as well, which is a branch of the BACC.
Right.
So kudos to all of you and the work that you do over there. What do you think is we've got some people watching and putting some comments, and we're very glad that you're watching tonight, and we hope you get a lot out of this conversation with these two wise luminaries from Kalamazoo, local legends, if you will. Buddy, what do you think is the importance of Black art in the history of Kalamazoo and in the U.S.?
Well, I think that as related to all culture and all art is important, okay? But I think that it's important that African Americans have the chance to tell our own stories, okay? So often our story has been told for us, okay? And I think it's important for us to have that outlet to where we can come and tell our own stories, It's everybody, I think, in every culture. Somebody asked me, said, well, you're a Black poet and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I'm a poet who happens to be Black. I'm an actor who happens to be Black. I'm a director that happens to be Black, However, I tell my story just like an Irish poet would tell his story, just like an Asian poet. You reach from your roots, you reach from your culture, and you tell what you know about your people. So I think it's important to have those outlets. And again, the Black Arts and Culture Center has definitely been one of those outlets that has been a constant in Kalamazoo. Not to say that other people have not provided those outlets for us, because I've done a lot of work with other theater groups and other poets and everything. But I think the Black Arts and Culture Center has been a constant in being there to tell our story and to, like Sid said earlier, provide us with that outlet to associate with other people like us telling the story that we are telling about us.
Excellent. Wonderful. Anything to add, Sid, to that?
Yeah, and I would say that it also allows that storytelling in a variety of different forms. And so when we look at the history of Kalamazoo, but as a whole, in the United States, Black art has always been there. So Black art has always been around in some form of fashion, whether it was fine arts or performing arts. And I think that art form has allowed other cultures to see within inside of us, like Buddy says. I mean, everybody laughs, loves, grieves, they have hurts, pain, joy, happiness, and how those things are expressed, it sometimes can be different culturally expressed in a different, slightly different way. And so when people are able to view art and see inside of what somebody is really feeling, it allows them to see inside that person and to see inside that culture. Okay, so like Buddy was saying that, Irish people may do something some way, an Asian may do something some way, and an Indian may do something different, but it's always based on what's inside of a person, what a person is feeling, what a person's thoughts are. And when you see the differences, it's not that it's a vast difference, but the way it's expressed may be different. And so when you see different things expressed in a variety of different ways, it adds to you and it adds to your life and it adds to what you can give. So, Black art has always been a part of American history, and always people have always been able to express themselves artistically, but maybe not to the masses as we have, I would say, lately. There's more movies being made, more could be made. There's more theater productions, more could be done. There's more art galleries, more could be done in terms of art galleries as well. But at the same time, my major point is that Black art has always been around, and I think it's always been important in the United States.
Yeah, and to add to that, art and culture, theater especially, is about storytelling and sharing a human experience. And so we need to share the full human experience, right, with all of us. And it's interesting, I've been thinking about how Black culture has influenced so much of American music and dance and acting and storytelling. And it's important to recognize that and celebrate that, I think.
It is.
So who are some of the people who have had an influence on you and your artistic careers? Obviously we've mentioned a few, but Buddy, who would you say, other than, of course, present company excluded, who have been some of the major influences over your career?
Well, I really, there's so many people, but some of the main people, first of all, I would have to say Gail Sidney. When I met her and got involved with the Black Arts and Culture Center, that's when I began to practice. Because up until then, I was just basically, saying I was writing poetry and saying, yeah, I'm a poet. So when I met Gail, and we was talking, and she said, well, are you an artist? I said, well, I'm a poet. She said, well, where have you been reading? And this, I said, well, nowhere, She said, well, who do you share with? I said, nowhere. She said, well, then you just a person that writes poetry. And I always kept that in mind, because you're really not a poet until you share it with somebody. So Gail was the first major influence in terms of me being a poet. The next person I would say is Elizabeth Kerlikowske, who's head of the Poetry Society here in Kalamazoo. I met Elizabeth, and she began to talk with me, expose me to other avenues outside of my little circle that I was in, and provide me with opportunities, because regardless of what you do, if you're not provided with opportunities to do it, it won't go anywhere. So Elizabeth Kerlikowske, as far as the poetry. As far as the acting, I think one thing that Sid and I both should mention is that our first encounter bringing us together was actually Linda Louise Kingsley. You have to say Louise, but Linda was, I don't know what she was doing. I know she was directing the meeting, but she was the one who brought us together. She was the one who first introduced me to the stage and was showing me different things about acting and stuff. So I credit her for that. And then I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Vaughn Washington, and I never really took a class from Vaughn in his classroom, but I took a class from Vaughn in his productions that I was in. So I learned a lot about writing, playwriting, directing, acting, all of that. I learned from Vaughn. I took a class at Western at the time, I believe, and Artie Johnson, he was another one, that he was one that I've always admired what him and his wife has been doing. So it was cool, to be around those people. So those are just a few of the people who have had a big influence on me. And of course, Sid, because working with Sid, I learned a lot. And John McCann, I have to mention John McCann, but those are just a few of the people who have had a direct influence on me. There's been so many others who indirectly have influenced me, but from that standpoint, from the theater and the writing of the poetry, those are the people that had kind of got me started.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure all of those people are grateful to be mentioned. It's important that we recognize our mentors and give them credit, because we all have them, and we all wouldn't be where we are without certain people kind of guiding us along the way. I did get a comment. We do have some people watching tonight and putting some comments. And someone, Buddy, asked if you might be able or willing to share one of your poems. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but we got to give the public what they want. Do you have a short one that you could maybe share?
Well, I tell you what, you go ahead and get Sid, and I'll see if I can look up here and find something.
All right. Sid, who has influenced you, my friend?
So, Buddy named several of the people. John McCants, and he was the theater director of the Civic Black Theater for many years. And Buddy has a better memory than I do, and I'm ashamed to not remember this young lady's name. But she was the first director that I had an experience with at the Civic Black Theater. And I've been trying to think of her name for the last few minutes and cannot. And that is, it's ridiculous. But in any case, long story short, I would like to mention one other person who wasn't influenced on theater, but very much on my storytelling prowess, because her name is Miss Nettie Martin. She passed. But during the time that I was doing stage theater, she was a major storyteller here in Kalamazoo and across the state. And so she suggested to me that I get involved in storytelling. I kept saying, Miss Nettie, I'm not a storyteller. I'm not a storyteller. And because I watched her tell stories and I watched others tell stories. And it took her a year to convince me that I could do it professionally. But she would constantly say, Sid, you're a storyteller because you're always telling stories on stage. When you're doing your monologues, when you're doing a variety of different things on stage, you're telling stories. And finally I said, okay, Miss Nettie, you're right. And so she gave me a couple of stories to tell. And at the Black Arts Festival hosted by the Black Arts and Cultural Center, I began telling stories. And so I also incorporated that with puppetry, which I learned at then Christian Life Center, now Stone's Church. I became a professional puppeteer and storyteller. And so she was a major influence in getting me involved in doing that professionally. Von Washington, great person to work with. And my first experience with him was working with him as a stagehand. So like Buddy was saying, I learned a lot just watching him do his craft. And then I had the opportunity to act with him at Farmers Alley Theater in the play Fences. And so even though he was not the director at that time, he was the lead actor, learned a lot from him during that time and had a great experience at Farmers Alley Theater. And that is one of the things that happens here in Kalamazoo. The Black Arts and Cultural Center was not the only one that was producing live stage theater about African Americans, not for African Americans. And I want to really point that out, that Black theater is not for Black people. Black theater is for the masses. It's for everyone. And so things that are produced that says Black this or Black that, it's only telling people what the content may or may not be or may largely be per se. So the Black Arts and Cultural Center is not for Black people. It's for everyone to see the art that's expressed through the Black Arts and Cultural Center. So you have the Kalamazoo Civic Theater, Western Michigan University Theater Department, the Black Arts and Cultural Center, and a variety of other theaters here in Kalamazoo that will produce Black theater. And like I said, at Farmers Alley Theater, I had the opportunity to work with Von and Fences.
Well, since you brought it up, I think that's a really good segue into, I did put together, our producer, Tony Mitchell, pulled together a short video clip of a little bit of your work in August Wilson's Fences at Farmers Alley Theater opposite Von Washington Sr. So, buddy, you're off the hook for a minute. You can collect yourself and maybe have a poem when we come back. But let's take a quick look at Sid. Yeah, let's take a quick look at Sid Ellis and Dr. Von Washington Sr. in August Wilson's The Fences at Farmers Alley Theater.
I told Brownie, if the man asks him any questions, just tell him the truth. It ain't nothing but something they done trumped up against you just because you filed a complaint on them.
Brownie don't understand nothing. All I asked him to do was to change the job description so that everybody could have a chance to drive. Brownie ain't got nothing. That much sense.
How you figure he making out with that gal down there at Taylor? That Alberta gal.
Same as you and me. Getting as much as we get, which is to say, nothing.
It is, huh? Well, I figure you doing a little bit better than me. And I ain't saying what I'm doing.
Oh, nigga, I know you. If you got anywhere near that gal, in 20 minutes, you'd be looking for somebody to tell. The person you gonna want to tell, the one that you can brag to, is gonna be me.
I ain't say that. I see where you be eyeing her.
I be eyeing all the women. I don't miss nothing. Don't let nobody ever tell you Troy Maxim don't eye the women.
You doing a little bit more than eyeing her. You done brought her a drink or two.
Hell yeah, I bought her a drink. What that mean? I bought you a drink too. Don't mean nothing because I buy her a drink. I was just being polite.
If you buy one drink, that's what you call being polite. But when you want to be buying 2 or 3, that's what you call eyeing her.
Oh, nigga, how long you done known me? You ever known me to chase women?
Hell yeah!
Oh man. Such good memories. Such good memories.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun, right? Great play.
Yep,
August
great
Wilson,
memories.
it's a masterpiece, you know, and lead character Troy Maxon feels like he wasn't able to take advantage of that American dream, and it's interesting how, you know, we're still seeing that today, where institutional and systemic racism is causing a lot of people of color to feel like they cannot catch a break and they cannot, you know, live out their own American dream. So I thank you for being a part of that production, and you know, I'm glad that we were able to bring it to life on stage. Adam Weiner, executive director, says August Wilson's 10-play cycle is one of the greatest accomplishments in all of American literature.
And I would like to point out that that was directed by Terry Williams.
Yes.
Am I still muted?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. So, okay, great. But I did want to point out that was directed by D. Terry Williams, who is a white person, but he did a great job directing the play, and he's been a major influence on me as well in the theater department here in Kalamazoo.
We love D. Terry Williams. He's been a part of Farmers Alley from the beginning. He's been on the board. He's directed many of our shows, and he does definitely believe in equality, diversity, and inclusivity, and has worked hard to help us, to guide us that way at Farmers Alley. So if you're watching, D. Terry, thank you. We love you. And Dr. Vaughn and Fran, same to you. Shout out to you as well. Okay, Mr. Buddy, did you get a chance to think about a poem?
I did. But before I read the poem, I want to just mention one other person. And this is some of the young directors. I mentioned all the mature senior directors. But on the most recent, I would like to mention someone that I've had the pleasure to work with. And she's been a pleasure to work with and had an influence on me as well, is Marisa Harrington, who is with Face Off Theater. I was fortunate enough to be in, I think, 3 productions with her. 2 I know, Sunset Baby and August Wilson, The Piano Lesson. And Marisa is one of the young directors that I've worked with, that it was a pleasure to work with her and be involved with some of the new and innovative things that are happening today in theater. So just wanted to put that in, make sure that I gave her credit too.
I love her very much, and I've seen some of her productions, including Crowns at Face Off and The Dancing Granny at Western Michigan. And I'm proud to say she's going to direct a partner production Farmers Alley and Face Off are doing this summer of 3 Little Birds, which is based on the song by Bob Marley and the children's book by his daughter Cedella. So Marisa, if you're watching, shout out to you, and really looking forward to bringing that show to life with you. All right, buddy, go ahead. Hit us with something.
This is just something I'll share. It's entitled, Don't Forget This Poem. This poem is for my people, for those who died for a cause, for those who died just because. This poem is for my people. For those who marched in Selma, Birmingham, Little Rock, and Memphis. For those who marched into the open mouths of dogs. For those who felt the pressure of the fire hose, this poem is for my people. For those who used the back door, the side doors, everything but the front door. For those who once inside refused to leave until they were served. For those who sought freedom at any cost, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the Freedom Riders, and many others. For old ladies with sore backs and sore knees from scrubbing floors, this poem is for my people. For the parents of the children killed in a holy place, for the mothers and daughters that was raped, for the fathers and sons who were beaten, for those who gave until there was nothing left to give but their lives, and for those who did so gladly. This poem is for my people, but this poem is especially for those of us who have forgotten the high price that freedom came from.
Beautiful. Indeed. That's powerful stuff, buddy. Thank you so much. You're making me feel the feels. Okay. Well, speaking of Marisa and face-off theater, Sid, what do you think is the future of Black theater in Kalamazoo?
Well, I think Black theater in Kalamazoo, the future of it does not totally lie in the hands of face-off theater, and they're doing a great job with what they're bringing forth. Consistently for the last few years, they've been a constant with producing Black theater. Now, as you said earlier, I did just finish a piece last fall with Western Michigan University's theater department. Farmers Alley is doing Black theater, and the Civic is doing some Black theater as well. So I think the future is great. And now that my youngest son has graduated, me and Buddy Hannah will be doing more theater, because that's one of the things that we've been wanting to do, is get back involved in doing stage theater. But my youngest son, who was playing basketball at Lloyd Norris and playing football, he had, he kept us pretty busy. And so now he's graduated from high school, and my goal and plan is to connect with Buddy and start bringing up some more theater. So I think the future for Black theater in Kalamazoo looks very bright. I mean, it's already being done, and so I'm ready to again, like I say, me and Buddy is ready to really start bringing some more to the front. So I look forward to it.
Reach out to me. I would love to hear your thoughts about, collaborations that you might want to do with Buddy and maybe with Farmers Alley as well.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
What about you, Buddy? What do you think about the future?
Like Sid said, we have Face Off Theater. It's doing an excellent job, presenting a lot of good work in here. My thing is, I feel that there's always room for more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we look at Kalamazoo, to me, Kalamazoo is one of the best place for artists, whether you're a visual artist, performing artist, what have you. It's a good place because there's all kind of outlets here. And if we look at theater in Kalamazoo, when we're just talking about theater, we have all of these outlets for actors, writers, directors, and everything. So if you pigeonhole something and put it in one spot, the only outlet that we have for African-American actors, writers, is Face Off Theater, okay, which is cool. However, I feel there's a need for more. And like Sid said, we've always tried to do productions, and we bring in the artists that sometimes may not be on the level to audition for Face Off Theater. So what we do is we try to bring them up to that level by providing them that outlet and teaching them sharing some of the knowledge and the stuff that we have accomplished over the years. But I do think that there's room for more theater. I hate the fact that we're only limited to one theater in terms of giving out. And yes, we talk about the other theater groups, and I've been involved with a lot of other theater groups, but that's not their, what can I say? That's not
mission.
Their main schedule. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They may do one production a year, okay?
Right.
So there is a need for us to have another outlet. Kalamazoo is large enough to have 2, even 3 theaters. I mean, if we look at what other people have, we got about 7, okay? And it's flourishing. So I think that provided with more outlets for African American theater, then it would flourish as well. So, but I think the future is bright. Is doing okay. I think, like Sid said, now that he have more time, we'll get back. And once we get back, able to get back to doing theater, I think we have provided a lot of people some opportunities that still would take it and go further. So I'd like to see more, another theater company in Kalamazoo, African American theater company.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think what Sid said that it's just not limited to doing black theater or whatever. Because when Sid and I was at the Black Arts Theater, we did 2 productions of Mice and Men and Death of a Salesman. Those was not black plays.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we did it as actors doing a play, and that's what it's about, So I think it goes both ways. I would like to see a theater company also where we do more variety of don't have to do just good acting is good acting.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
I think that we need that, and we just need another outlet to go along with the wonderful things that Face Off Theater is doing already, and what other theaters, the Civic and everything, are providing.
Yeah, I could see, institutions like Farmers Alley or the Civic, just taking more of a risk and bringing more black voices to the table. A black director may have a different spin on a classic play, or you do a classic play like Mice and Men or Streetcar Named Desire, and you cast it with a multiracial cast and bring more of those voices that way. More black designers. I would love to see more black designers too, from lighting, scenic, sound, etc. And so, I would love to. It sounds like you two have an idea for, or maybe you're already doing like a mentorship program. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we wouldn't. I wouldn't say it's just one where we say, "Oh yeah, this is how." But in a way, it is, because whenever Sid and I work with actors, sometimes we work with younger actors, sometimes we work with new and unknown actors. But it's always that learning experience that we try to share with them because of the experience that the two of us has accomplished over the years, So it is mentoring in some aspect to other young actors or new actors,
Sid, do you think there are any barriers to the Kalamazoo community being as receptive as possible to the idea of more black theater?
I don't necessarily think there's barriers. I think that, like Buddy says, it just needs to be more of it. I would say, because one of the barriers might be that when black theater is done, people think, like I said earlier, that it's just for black people.
Right.
And so you may not get the white audience as well as you get the black audience. But that's people shouldn't think like that. They shouldn't think, well, that's a black thing, or that's an Irish thing, or that's a Jewish thing. So I think that people need to recognize that black theater is just black expression. So that's one thing. The other thing is that, sometimes more black people just got to take more chances. Like I said, and Buddy and we're ready to start doing more, and so I know that it's going to happen. But because of our schedules, some things haven't happened. So, but the long and short of it is that, like Buddy says, the opportunity is there, and we just have to take advantage of the opportunity. Okay, and for some people, it's a paradigm shift. A lot of white people don't go to theater. And so it's not as if that all white theaters are getting 100% houses full. So there's barriers there, or not barriers, but a paradigm shift that needs to be done there about what theater is all about and why you should attend theater. And so I think that it's just a matter of people taking advantage of the opportunities. I would even point out that over 20 years ago, I was doing my show at the Public Media Network, which was then Community Access Center. I did a show called Try God's Love. It was a variety show. And it always puzzled me why other people wasn't doing shows on the public media network. The opportunities was there, and people did. There was some other blacks who produced on it, so I don't want to sound like I was the only one. But my point is that, you know, we have to seize the opportunities. And like Buddy is saying, the opportunity is there, so let's just do it. You know, in terms of barriers, I think the barriers are just that we got to get people more involved. And you have to start. You have to start with younger people. I mean, you know, young people have to grow into seeing and knowing that they can be involved in theater. And as they grow older, and whether it's from middle school to high school and then to adulthood, they can get into it. They can come see it. So, you know, the opportunity is there. We just have to do it.
I totally agree. The way I see it, if you create a culture in your organization that's inclusive, and then you reach out to the public and you give all areas of the public something that might interest them in your organization, you know, especially if you're just thinking about Farmers Alley, that's going to increase your audience base. You're going to get more people to come through the door. Like you said, no one's got 100% capacity right now. So let's bring in more people, as many people as possible of all different ethnicities, right?
Yep.
If I may,
yeah,
Jeremy,
buddy, please.
we talk about barrier. One of the other barriers is having the outlet to do what we want to do. You see what I'm saying? You know, with the Farmers Alley, with Civic Theater, up at the Western Theater, or the Whole Arts Theater, all of these theater groups that we've had in this town, the one constant thing about it was theirs. They had it, they owned it, they did whatever, you know, and I'm not pointing fingers or blaming anyone for that, you know, but as African Americans, I think we need to start looking at that, because when you guys at the Farmers Alley sit down to plan your schedule, you don't really sit down and say, well, hey, we're going to do 5 black plays, we're going to do 5 white plays. You sit down to do plays that's going to attract to your audience and express your culture, which is cool. And you say, well, hey, we want to do this play because it's a good play. It happens to be a black play, but it's a good play. And that's cool. We need to be able to have the same outlets, okay, and same facilities that we can go in and set a schedule and say, hey, this is our schedule. We're going to do this. We need to do just like Farmers Alley, Civic Theater, the Little Theater, all of you guys, you communicate with each other sometimes, not to cross over and be doing shows on the same night. We need to be in that same position as African Americans, so that we can sit down with the Face Off Theater and this theater and say, hey, we're going to be, this is our schedule for the summer. This is your schedule for the summer. Let's look at these dates. So I think one of the main barriers for us not being able to do as much black theater is that, number one, we don't have the facilities, and number two, we're dependent on others to provide that for us. So it's not a bad thing, because collaboration is good, okay? But it just got to be where I think when you have those outlets, you're more able to do and control your schedule of productions of things you want to do.
It's true. But one of the things, you know, that we want to do at Farmers Alley is we want to bring more members of the BIPOC community to our board of directors and to our executive staff, to get those voices there, to, you know, introduce us to maybe a play that we hadn't thought about, or a person in town, a designer or a director or an actor that maybe we hadn't realized was there. You know, this is the first time we've met, buddy, you know, and I feel embarrassed to say that, yeah, I didn't really know who you were. You know, but I'm able to accept that and acknowledge, you know, my ignorance, you know, and luckily Sid introduced us, and now I hope we have a great relationship going forward. But I would love to work with you more collaboratively. But it does matter to, you know, it does matter to us. And as long as we, you know, as long as we care, we're gonna take steps to make it better.
Right. And you know, I really do feel that, you know, that's a good thing. I wrote a play. It was called Caught Up in the Circle of Life. It can apply to anybody, because it basically was talking about people how we as people get caught up in lies. We tell so many lies about so many different things till all of a sudden we caught up in it. And then when the lies start coming out, it crashed down on us. Well, a lot of people thought like, well, that's a black play. But when we did it, I worked with B.B. White, and we produced it ourselves and did it up at the Little Theater. But we had a crossover audience that loved the play, because it was a black play written and directed by a black writer and a director, but it was a play about human beings and everything that we could relate to. So yeah, you know, and yeah, I think that, and don't take this wrong, but a lot of times, theaters here, the Civic Theater, you mean well, but no, you don't have enough people at the table, and we don't get noticed. You know what I'm saying? Until we have to meet somebody. But now that we know each other, so yeah, I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right, please do. I'm serious. Please do, because I mean it.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Things like this to open up, you know, because you can't do what you don't know. But once you know it, then what you're gonna do.
That's right.
That's
absolutely
that becomes the question. Like, I don't hold anybody to anything that they don't know. But once they know it, then hey, yeah.
Yep. Gotta walk the walk. I've been saying that a lot. We gotta walk the walk.
Let's be about it.
That's right. Well, we are getting close to where we have to maybe wrap up. So I usually end each interview with, you know, looking for some inspiration. So other than the arts, right now, Sid, where do you look for inspiration? What's giving you hope right now?
Well, there's many things giving me hope, and I'll go back to my son, Quincy Ellis, who's just graduated. He's into digital media, and it did take him some time to really get into the arts the way he is now. We allowed him to be a part of theater and some other things when he was younger, and then he got more involved in sports. And then about a year ago, he started getting excited about doing things on YouTube and Facebook. And he got his own Facebook channel, or YouTube channel, and started producing music and things like that. And so that's very inspiring to me to watch him evolve into an artist that he's becoming. And so that really gives me a lot of inspiration. And just in general, you know, life itself, you know, just you know, the things that I do at the Douglas Community Association, we're working with kids there. And, you know, even though we're in a pandemic, we were able to do diaper giveaways and food giveaways and things like that. And just watching the young people stand up and, you know, start having their voices heard. And not just African Americans, but white Americans, Asian Americans, just the country coming together to stand up against the atrocities that's been happening for years. That inspires me, that especially that the young people are saying, hey, our voices are going to be heard, and they're doing it in a positive manner. There's been some things that have come out of it negatively, but it's 95% or more positive. So I'm very inspired by that, and I appreciate it.
I love it. Thank you, buddy. What about you? What's giving you hope?
Young people. What we're seeing today, even though it's involving protests or what have you, but that's what I see as the hope. You know, you're seeing young people across all spectrum of the races. You know, it's the young people now that's I look to them for that inspiration and hope. And in doing so, I think we, as the elders, the mature people, we have to be there to help them and provide them with our resources, our finances, our talents, whatever we can share. But it's been good to see all of this, even though it's a protest and the situation is something that is not the best of time. But we're seeing all of these young people come across and standing up, doing things. So my inspiration and my hope is the young people, and I want them to keep on doing what they're doing, and I'm really proud of all of them, what they're doing. So.
Here. Very, very much agree. Very powerful. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Buddy, thank you for sharing your poem. We are honored and grateful to have you. Let's continue to have a strong collaborative working relationship going forward. I want that, and I want you to hold me to it. Up next, I also want to thank our producer, Tony Mitchell, doing a wonderful job as always. Thank you, Tony. Up next at Farmers Alley, this Sunday, July 5th, we go live at 8 p.m. with a special 4th of July edition of our Broadway Battle series. Host Adam Weiner will ask the questions, and contestants Peter Riopel, James Snyder, and Ryan Vasquez will demonstrate their knowledge of topics related to Americana musicals, classics like 1776 and new modern classics like Hamilton. You won't want to miss it. Then on Tuesday, July 7th, the dynamite Carrie Phillips talks to Tony Mitchell and Alex Tobin for a music and sound design flavored episode of her popular series Tech Tuesday. Both of these events will be on Facebook and YouTube Live. To keep up with all things related to Farmers Alley, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, if you like this type of content, please let us know. And if you're able, please contribute and help us do our work by going to farmersalleytheater.online/give. I would also encourage you to make contributions to any part of the Black Lives Matter movement, also the Black Arts and Cultural Center, or the Douglas Community Association, or any other worthy cause that you feel you can contribute to. On behalf of everyone at Farmers Alley Theater, and in the spirit of creating art and theater, which is always collaborative, I just want to remind us that we always have to work together to make the world a better place. Gentlemen, thank you again for being here. Much love and respect to you both.
Same to you. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
All right.